Far away from the bright centers of known space, the Deathworlder fleet drifted through the quiet darkness of the galaxy's outer edges. These ships were built tough, crewed by people who had survived some of the harshest planets ever known. Worlds where the air burned their lungs, storms raged without end, and predators waited in every shadow. They were explorers and survivors, legends whispered in many star systems for their strength and unyielding will to live. On this day, the fleet moved steadily, scanning empty space for signs of life, threats, or opportunity. Suddenly, a strange sound interrupted the calm, a crackling message, faint but clear, slipping through the static of their long-range receivers. It was an SOS, but not from any known civilization. The message was broken, almost desperate, carrying a plea for help that chilled the bridge crew. Despite the warmth of the control room's lights, Captain Mira stood rigid, her eyes narrowing as she listened to the signal repeat in an endless loop, each cycle adding a little more to the message's puzzle. The language was unfamiliar, a series of tones and clicks that the ship's translators struggled to decode, yet the meaning was unmistakable. Someone out there was in trouble, and they needed help. The moment stretched, filled with silence broken only by the quiet hum of the ship's systems and the steady beep of the communication console. The fleet had always avoided the unknown, relying on their own strength and the safety of familiar space. To answer this call meant stepping into the dark, into a place where no map reached, where danger could lurk unseen. Captain Mira felt the weight of the decision settle on her shoulders. Could they afford the risk? Was this a trap, a test, or something far worse? Or was it a chance to make a difference, to be more than just survivors of a brutal galaxy? Around her, the crew watched and waited, their trust in her clear but their own fears hidden behind calm faces. The decision to move toward the unknown was more than a choice. It was a challenge to everything they had learned about survival and trust. As the signal repeated again, faint and fragile, Captain Mira reached out to her officers. They began the work of preparing the fleet, switching from routine patrol to a mission that might change their future forever. Outside, stars glittered coldly in the black sky, silent witnesses to a moment when humanity's toughest souls would choose whether to turn away or to move forward into the mystery of the signal that called from the shadows. The fleet's council gathered in the main command hall, a spacious room illuminated by soft blue lights that reflected off the metal walls, creating an atmosphere both serious and expectant. Captain Mira stood at the center, her presence commanding attention as the leaders from every ship took their seats around the large circular table. The SOS signal, still faint but persistent, filled the room through the communication console, a reminder of the unknown danger waiting beyond the safety of their patrol zone. Voices rose and fell as the council debated the best course of action. Some warned against the risks, fearing an ambush or a trap set by enemies lurking in the vast emptiness. Others argued that the Deathworlders, born from the toughest conditions in the galaxy, were precisely the ones who could answer the call. Their skills, their technology, and their unbreakable spirit made them uniquely prepared to face whatever awaited. Slowly, the mood shifted from doubt to determination. A vote was called, and when the final tally came in, the decision was clear. The fleet would investigate the SOS, even if it meant venturing into the unknown. As the council members dispersed, the crew began their preparations with a mixture of excitement and tension. In the mess halls and corridors, stories surfaced, tales of brutal storms that flattened cities, nights spent hiding from unseen predators, and the long, hard fights to build a life on planets where death was always near. These shared memories reminded everyone why they were called Deathworlders, because survival was not just a skill, but a way of life that shaped their very souls. Despite the uncertainty of the mission ahead, the crew found strength in these stories, drawing courage from their shared history. The fleet's engineers worked tirelessly to ready their ships, double-checking shields, weapons, and life support systems, knowing they might face threats unlike any before. Scouts practiced new communication techniques, preparing to decode the alien language more effectively. Throughout the fleet, a quiet excitement grew alongside the tension. A feeling that this mission might change everything, that helping others could open doors to new friendships or reveal dangers long hidden. Captain Mira moved among her people, offering encouragement and listening carefully to concerns, her calm confidence a steady anchor for the nervous but hopeful crews. As the ships aligned for departure, the galaxy outside seemed to hold its breath. The stars twinkled like distant eyes watching this moment when the Deathworlders chose to answer a call for help, stepping away from their familiar paths and into a future full of mystery. No one knew what awaited them, but they all understood this. The decision to move forward was a test of their courage, their humanity, and their unbreakable will to survive and protect others, even in the face of the unknown. When the Deathworlder fleet finally arrived at the coordinates given by the SOS, the scene that unfolded before them was unlike anything they had expected. The planet was battered and broken, its surface marked by deep scars of environmental disasters and the ruins of once great cities. Thick clouds of toxic gases swirled in the atmosphere, and great storms roared across vast deserts and shattered forests. The landscape seemed to cry out in pain, echoing the desperate message that had reached their ears. Captain Mira stood on the bridge of the flagship, her eyes scanning the chaos below, feeling a strange mix of sorrow and determination. The fleet sent down exploratory drones and landing parties, moving carefully through the shattered world. There, among the ruins, lived an alien species unlike any the Deathworlders had seen before. Creatures with delicate frames but sharp, intelligent eyes that held both fear and hope. Communication was a challenge. Their language was complex, full of strange sounds and symbols, making it difficult to understand the depth of their suffering at first. But Captain Mira's team was patient, using advanced translators combined. With gestures, shared emotions, and a sincere willingness to listen, slowly the barriers began to break down, and the aliens shared their story. A story of a world pushed to the edge of collapse. Their ecosystem was failing rapidly. Once fertile lands had turned barren, and the air was becoming unbreathable. But the real threat was not only nature's fury. Unknown external forces had been pressuring their civilization for years, pushing them closer to extinction. The Deathworlders listened carefully, recognizing the echoes of their own harsh beginnings. Planets where survival was a daily battle, and every small victory was hard won. These aliens, despite their fragility, had not given up, and their resilience reminded Captain Mira and her crew of why they had answered the call. As they explored deeper, they saw the ruins of communities trying to hold together, of technology that once promised hope now struggling against decay, and of a people caught between desperation and the will to fight. The fleet began to map the damage while scientists and engineers reached out with help, sharing knowledge, tools, and hope. The first contact was not just a meeting of different species, but a meeting of shared struggles and shared dreams. Suspense hung in the air because even as they offered help, the Deathworlders knew they were entering a delicate dance with forces they did not fully understand. Trust had to be earned, and time was running out for the aliens. Captain Mira stood, quietly, feeling the weight of the moment. This was more than a rescue. It was a chance to change the future for a civilization hanging by a thread, and for her fleet, a chance to prove that humanity's toughest could be heroes, not just survivors. The rescue effort began in earnest as the Deathworlders and the alien population came together, united by the urgent need to save a world teetering on the edge of collapse. Engineers and scientists from the fleet worked side by side with their alien counterparts, their minds focused on the challenge of stabilizing the planet's failing environment. It was a race against time. The toxic storms worsened, and parts of the planet showed signs of sudden collapse that threatened entire regions. Using a mix of advanced technology and the aliens' deep knowledge of their world, the teams developed new ways to cleanse the air and repair damaged ecosystems. Giant machines filtered pollutants from the skies, while bioengineers experimented with hardy plants capable of surviving the harsh conditions, hoping to replant forests that could one day thrive again. Meanwhile, fleet crews explored the alien cities, learning about the people who lived there, their customs, hopes, and fears. Around small fires and in makeshift meeting halls, stories were shared. Tales of survival on brutal worlds, of loss and hope, and of the will to protect what mattered most. The Deathworlders spoke of their own harsh homeworlds, where every day was a battle against nature's fury, and in return the aliens shared legends of their ancestors and the great civilizations they once built. This exchange created bonds, deeper than simple cooperation. It built trust and understanding between two very different species. Yet even as progress was made, the threat from beyond the planet's atmosphere lingered. Strange ships were spotted at the edges of the system, forces that had pushed the aliens to the brink, watching closely as the rescue unfolded. The fleet increased patrols, standing guard to protect their new allies. Captain Mira and her officers remained vigilant, aware that this mission could shift from rescue to defense at any moment. The tension was real, but so was the hope that through cooperation and shared strength, they could overcome the dangers ahead. Each day brought new challenges and new victories, small steps that hinted at a brighter future for a planet once thought lost. In these moments of hard work and quiet connection, the fleet and the alien people found something precious. The understanding that survival was never just about fighting alone, but about standing together, learning from one another, and building something stronger than either could achieve by itself. After months of hard work, the planet slowly began to heal. Once choking clouds gave way to clearer skies and patches of green started to reappear on the barren surface. The aliens, who had seemed so fragile and uncertain when the fleet first arrived, now moved with renewed confidence and hope. Their eyes shone with a determination born not just from survival, but from the belief that their world could be saved. The Deathworlders, too, felt the shift deeply. The mission that had started as a difficult choice now stood as a proud moment in their long journey through the stars. Captain Mira watched this transformation with a quiet satisfaction. The fleet, known for its toughness and resilience, had shown something more, a compassion and willingness to help that reached beyond their own kind. They had not only saved a civilization from the brink of extinction, but had also expanded humanity's place in the galaxy, proving that strength was not just in fighting, but in offering a hand to those in need. As preparations began for the fleet's departure, talks of a lasting alliance filled the halls and meeting rooms. The aliens spoke eagerly of future cooperation, sharing knowledge and culture with the Deathworlders, while the fleet promised to stand ready should help be needed again. This new bond offered a promise not only of friendship but of mutual growth, a chance for both species to learn and thrive together in a vast and often lonely universe. Captain Mira felt the weight of this moment settle in her heart. The galaxy was full of unknown dangers but also endless possibilities. She understood that survival was no longer just about enduring the harshest conditions or facing the deadliest foes alone. It was about uplifting others, forging connections and building futures together. As the fleet lifted off from the recovering planet, the stars stretched out ahead like a path to endless horizons. The story of this mission would be told for generations, how the Deathworlders, toughest among the stars, answered a call for help, and found in it not only a new ally, but a new hope. The galaxy was vast, and many challenges still waited, but with courage, empathy, and unity, Captain Mira and her fleet were ready to face whatever came next. Their journey was far from over, but this chapter closed with the promise of light in the darkness, a reminder that even in the most difficult times, the human spirit could shine bright and lead the way forward. The fleet's council gathered. In the main command room, the air thick with tension and quiet anticipation. Captain Mira stood at the head of the table, her face calm but serious as the council members listened to the strange SOS signal again and again. Voices soon rose, some full of caution and fear, others with hope and determination. Many warned that responding could lead them into unknown dangers, traps, enemies, or worse. But others reminded everyone why the Deathworlders were special. They were born on harsh planets where only the strongest survived. Their skills, their knowledge of surviving impossible odds, made them the perfect choice to help. Slowly, the debate turned in favor of investigation. When the vote was taken, it was clear. They would answer the call even if the risks were great. The decision carried a heavy weight, but no one doubted it was the right one. As the council broke up, preparations began immediately, and a quiet excitement mixed with nervousness spread across the fleet. Throughout the ships, crews gathered to share stories of their past struggles. In the dim mess halls and cramped quarters, voices told tales of terrible storms, fierce beasts, and nights spent hiding just to stay alive. These stories reminded everyone why they called themselves Deathworlders, because they had learned how to survive when others could not. The mood was tense but hopeful. Helping these unknown aliens might mean new friends or even new dangers, but it was a chance to prove that the Deathworlders were more than just survivors. They were protectors, explorers, and maybe even heroes. As the fleet readied their ships for departure, engineers checked every system, and scouts prepared for what might be their most difficult mission yet. Captain Mira moved among her people, listening and encouraging, knowing that this mission could change everything. Outside the ship, stars glittered cold and distant, watching as the Deathworlder fleet chose to leave safety behind and step into the mystery of the unknown.